I always join muted and I say hello.
I did too.
And the recording starts like, I think when whichever one of us hops on first. So it definitely catches us like.
Yeah, sorry. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. Like, so there's that at the beginning of the video.
No, you're all good. I actually next week I'll go through and like clip them a little bit so that way the recordings start just right when your training starts.
Yeah.
But
so
in
like the awkward beginning.
Exactly, like right now it's all recording, but in efforts to just get the recording to people, I just send it as is, and then next week I'll edit it. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna let people in. Admitting. Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Also, for those who celebrate, happy Taylor Swift new album release day, because that is the day that it is. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and throw the phone number to dial in the chat as we keep letting people in. Thanks for joining us. Happy Friday. For those of you who joined early, you get to hear me say that a couple of times today, or this morning, or almost lunchtime for those of you around the world. Have a couple more people joining, so I'll just give us a minute. A lot of our team is on the call today, which is super fun. We all get to learn from Adrienne.
No pressure, right?
Welcome everyone. If you need to dial in, the phone number is in the chat, and I can actually send it one more time so that way you have it. For anyone whose computer audio is not what you want it to be and your phone is better, you have that option. All right, and we'll just wait one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started with our last day of Smore success for the week. Looking through our list, yeah, we have most of our team is on here today, and then everyone, welcome back. I can confirm now that all of you have been on these before, so you know who we are. All right, go ahead and mute our motivational, inspirational background music for the morning. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. This is our last day of Smore Success Accounting and Reporting with Adrienne. I'm super excited. We actually invited our whole team to be on this so we can all learn more about accounting and reporting. So the flow of today, we're going to do some introductions. We'll do our training. Adrienne will pause for questions. At any point, if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat, and then I'll give it a little thumbs up confirming I see it, and then we'll send them to Adrienne during our Q&A time. Some more training, questions, and then we'll wrap up. So today's our last day, so I wanted to change it up a little bit. If you celebrate Halloween, if you don't, you can still answer this question in the chat. If you had unlimited resources, what would you dress up for? And then, yeah, if you don't celebrate, but you would still dress up if you had unlimited resources, I'm super curious. What would that be? Would love to know in the chat. I'll throw mine in as well after I stop talking. And then, do you and your team want a specific Firefly training? Two totally different questions, but if you want training specific for your team, I would love to make that happen. So if you, Stitch, oh, I love that. I will, if you want your team to have a specific training with your account manager, I would love to get that coordinated for you. So at any point, throw that in the chat today, and I will note your name and your email and go ahead and reach out to you guys afterwards. So anyone else, if you had unlimited resources, what would you dress up for? I heard my husband and I were talking about this question earlier. He has a coworker who's going to dress up as Hannah Montana for Halloween. And I think if I were to dress up with unlimited resources, gosh, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it either. I'd probably like throw a sheet over my head like the ghost here in the GIF. Okay, that is, I would love to see your guys' answers more. And then if you guys want training, send it in the chat. I'll get that coordinated. Adrienne, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, great. So I'll share my screen. Go. All right, and to answer your question, I would dress up as Sailor Moon. That's what I would choose. Okay, so we're talking my favorite topic today, so accounting and reports. I'm actually going to start today with talking about how to set up your accounting, and I will do the reports at the end, just because I think that will be an easier flow of things. And of course, like Katie mentioned, we'll take a break halfway through for some questions. So before you can even use the accounting module in Firefly, you do have to make sure it's all set up and that everything is linked. Your GL codes from Astra will come over into Firefly, so you don't have to enter them all manually. However, if you didn't really use the accounting in Astra or you want to make changes to your GL codes, it's better to do it before you link everything up because you can start with a fresh slate in Firefly if you wish to do so. So no pressure to use the Astra data if you don't want, but if you would like to use the same stuff you had, it's already there. So we're going to go to settings over here on the left, and we'll go to accounting. So you can see here that you have to make a couple choices. So the first is the accounting method. So at this point in time, we have cash basis, and our hybrid was just released as well. So if you do hybrid accounting, that is now available. The difference between the two, just for anyone who's trying to figure out what they want, the cash basis accounting means that revenue will be recognized when payment is made. So if your customer pays $50 today and they're not coming till next year, doesn't matter, that $50 will be recognized as revenue and go through taxes today when the payment's made. On the hybrid accounting method, if somebody is paying, say, $50 today, but they're not coming until January 15th, the $50 will be held in a deposits account in Firefly and recognized as revenue on the arrival date, so on the 15th of January. The biggest difference between those two is obviously you can see when the revenue is being recognized, so whether it's payment date or arrival date. And on the hybrid accounting, if they pay after the arrival date, it's recognized on the date of payment, providing it's after the date they checked in. So those are the two differences. We are also working on our accrual-based accounting, so that will be ready, hopefully. I'm not making any guarantees. That's up to the dev team, but it's in the works right now. So accrual accounting is coming as well, which means that revenue would be prorated on a day-to-day basis based on the length of stay. So those are the differences between the three of them. But like I said, right now we only have cash and hybrid available. So you would just have to make sure that you choose accordingly the one that you want. Mine's on cash basis, and I think most people, when I looked at the list that are in here today, are on cash basis. If you were on cash or hybrid or accrual in Astra and want to change in Firefly, also totally okay. Then we do have to choose the end of day batch mode. For hybrid, you don't have a choice. You do have to do the two-step batch because revenue is being recognized at a later date. But for cash basis, you can choose a simple one-step batch or an advanced two-step batch. The advanced two-step batch is exactly the same as what Astra does, where you reconcile payments and then you recognize your revenue. So if you're used to Astra and you're like, I like it the way it was, then select the two-step batch. If you want a little more simplified version, the one-step batch is great. The biggest difference between the two is that the one-step batch doesn't force you to reconcile your cash drawer, whereas the two-step batch will. So if you want to force your clerks to reconcile at the end of the night or the next morning, you'll want two-step. If you're like, we just do credit cards, I don't care about that reconciliation step, then I would just choose one step, make it simple. So that's the difference between the two. Once you choose your method, you also have to choose an account where anything that you classify as other charges is going to go into. So this is the one I find this is linked incorrectly a lot. So I would say make sure for this, it has to be an income account. Please do not put an accounts receivable or an asset account here. It has to be income. And what this really is when you are in Firefly, I'm just going to pull someone up to kind of show you what's going in there. And if you're on a customer's account, you go to the charges. If you hit new charge, you're able to classify it as other right there. And that, when anytime you classify a new charge, just one that you're making on the fly, as other, that's where the income for that is going to go into the account that you put here. So it kind of needs to be a catch-all account for the most part, unless you're always using other for a certain type of thing. But that's what that is. If you do write-offs, you can select an account for write-offs. If you don't want to do write-offs, totally fine. You can leave that blank. It's up to you. So that looks good there. I'm going to save that. Then we have to go to our chart of accounts. So again, if you came from Astra, they'll be in here. If you didn't use it in Astra and you're setting it up now, you can hit new account and make as many accounts as you want, break them out as much as you want. There is a set of default accounts in here already. So any of the ones that don't say custom next to them, that's just the default account. However, you can change the number or the name on it. So for example, you have to have a cash account. Your payments have to go into something, right? It defaults to 1,000, but if yours is say like 1010, you could come in here and change it to 1010 and save it, and that's fine. You can break out your payment methods into different GL codes if you wish. If you don't want to and you just want all of your money going into that one cash, credit, debit, check account, that's fine. You don't have to break them out. It's however you want it displayed on your GL report. So up to you. A couple that you will have to put in that are necessary would be this inventory asset account. This, if you don't use the POS, nothing will ever write into this. But what this tells you how much you have in money in stock on the shelves. So that's why we want to make sure that if you're using the POS and if you're using the cost of items in the POS, like the cost to you, that we have that account set up. And again, that's an inventory asset account because that's just based on how much you're holding on to at any point in time. The other one that you'll have to put in that was never ever even in Astra would be the reservation credit account. So in Firefly, and we'll talk about this a little more later, but in lieu of the fund account, you have the reservation credits. So they need to be linked into their own account, and it does have to be set up as an expense account. If it's not set up as an expense, it will yell at you at the end of day, and it will not allow you to process the end of day unless you fix it. So make sure you set that up as an expense account. And I usually recommend separating it into its own expense account because you probably want to know how much is coming in and out of that reservation credit account. So that will need to be set up. The other one too that's mandatory that will come over if you had it in Astra but isn't there by default is a cost of sales or a cost of goods sold account. That's another expense account. Again, it's mostly for inventory. So if you're not using the inventory or if you don't enter a cost of your items, nothing will write here. But just so it doesn't get upset, we can throw that in there too. Then all of your income accounts, you can break them out however you want. So if you want like daily, weekly, monthly income, that's great. I would say break out your categories for income in the same way you want to see them on your general ledger report. So I kind of made daily, weekly, monthly as an example. You could just do like RV income. You could do taxable and non-taxable income. It can be very specific or very general. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And down the road, if you want to change it, that's okay. It's not going to go backwards and update everything that you've already done. But like say, a year from now, you're like, you know what? I really want to split it out into daily, weekly, monthly. No problem. We can do it a year from now, and that's fine. So just break these down the way you want them. And then you'll want your tax accounts, your liability account for your tax. We do have a little cheat sheet template that will show you what accounts should be what. So we can send that out at the end as well, just in case you are setting up new accounts and you want to make sure they're going to work appropriately. So this is setting up all the GLs. And again, you just go to new account. You put in the account name, and the account name, if you're going to be using the QuickBooks import, the account name doesn't matter. So what really matters is the account number. So you have to make sure that if you are using QuickBooks, that you have account numbers in your QuickBooks. Sometimes that's a preference that has to be turned on. I can help you with that if you get stuck and can't find it. But the account numbers in Firefly and in QuickBooks have to be identical if you would like to use the export and import from Firefly to QuickBooks. So just so we're all aware of that. The account classes are here and the account types are here. These won't really do a whole lot, especially for the import-export, but it's good to classify them the way they're supposed to so that the system knows what it's doing, basically. So you have your asset, expense, liability, and income, and then the type is just information. So whatever type is fine. It won't really do anything for you. So that's how you set up your accounts there. So you're going to go through, you're going to make sure your GLs all look good, that they're all in there. And then we have to go through all our different charges and link them. So I always start under settings. I just work my way from add-ons down because that's the easiest way in my head to remember to get everything. So we're going to go into our add-ons. and you'll have to go into each individual add-on. There is no shortcut for this, unfortunately, but we're going to click on our add-ons here, and we're going to link our financial account. And I don't know why I put my cancellation fee in weekly. I'm going to put it in miscellaneous, so we'll do that. So basically just go one at a time through the whole thing. So you're going to link all those up. Some of them, if they're set up, let me see if I have one in here. Okay, so if you have, for example, firewood, and we have it set up as a sale item here, it will ask for a sales account, which is income, a cost of sales account, which is that expense account, and then the inventory asset account down here. So you do have to link each one of these if you're using an add-on sale type. But once your add-ons are good, we're going to move on down. Now you can link your GL codes to a coupon code if you want. I would say the majority of parks I've seen do not do this, but if you want your coupons or your discounts separated into a separate expense account, no problem. You would link it down here in the financial account. If you don't link it to anything, it will come out of the income account that it was written into. So for example, if I have a $50 site that's supposed to go into RV income and they get a 10% discount, so they get $5 off. If I leave it just like it is, it's only going to write $45 into my income account because that's really what I collected. If you decide to separate your discounts out and you put this, pretend this was the correct expense account, you put it into like a discounts account, it will write $50 into income and $5 into the expense account, and then you would net the difference. So that's the difference between the two options. Totally up to you. The simplest way is just to leave it and have it write just the full amount collected into the income account, but that's how the coupons will work. For the payment methods, we do have to go ahead and link all of our payment methods, the ones that you're using. Like if you're never going to use like a refund check or a PayPal payment type, you don't have to link those up, but we want to make sure that we go through. It's the circle with the 3 dots and edit, and we're going to link all of our payment types to a financial account. Aside from the reservation credit, all payment types have to be linked to an asset account. So please do not put it in your accounts receivable. So everything here is going to be linked to your asset account there. We're just going to edit it and go through. Now, if you want to separate in your general ledger by credit card type, you can, if you want to get really fancy, and just make sure that you first link this to a GL code. And then you go into each of the credit cards and you would link that to say like a Visa GL code if you want. If you don't need that type of breakdown on your general ledger, and I would say most parks don't go to that detail, you can leave these blank. You don't have to go in and link them if they're not doing anything other than what's on the main payment method there. Reservation credit, again, we're going to go into that one and we're going to make sure that that's set to our reservation credit account. And again, it does need to be an expense. So we'll hook all those up. And you can see I have some hidden here as well. So if there are payment methods that you just don't want to appear in the dropdown, you don't want clerks to select it accidentally because you know if it's there, they will. If you click the circle with the 3 dots and edit, you can hide the payment method. So it will not show up as the option available. As a side note as well, you'll see in your setup, I just changed the names of mine because I was trying stuff. So you can repurpose payment types if you want something different in there. So like, for example, I think this one's usually Zelle, which we don't have in Canada. So that's why I took it out. That you could do something like that and repurpose it in a different name if you wanted to. But note that like anything like PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, that's not going to create an invoice. The customer cannot choose that online. The only reason that they're in here is for recording purposes only. So you would still have to, send them the invoice through PayPal or Venmo or whatever. I don't know how Venmo works because we don't have that either here, but you would send them the invoice or whatever, collect payment that way, and then come and record it in Firefly. So it's recording mechanisms only. If you want it to go through their credit card, this is your only option. So just be aware of that too. The next option or item down on our list here is our POS item categories. So you can breathe easy. You do not have to go through every single one of your point of sale items and link up the financial accounts. So No, if you have like 1,000 items in there, don't worry. If you link up the categories, any item in that category will automatically fall into the account codes that you've set for the category. So it's a lot easier. It's much easier to set that up. So for example, let's take a look at my grocery category. And even if this came over from Astra, you still have to relink everything. None of the GL code linkages will come over in the migration. So this will have to be done when your POS stuff is migrated over. But we'll have our financial account, so the sales account here for our income, again, the cost of sales for our cost of goods sold, and then our inventory asset account. So please make sure that each category has each one. You can separate your cost of goods sold and inventory asset accounts into different categories if you want. I've seen it on a few parks. Most parks don't, but again, that's up to you if you want to track that more specifically than just a general number. So that's the option there. I always say to go into your point of sale, go into POS items, because if there is an item in your POS that is in a specific category, like a lot of parks have an additional charges category. It's just kind of like a fail safe that we made an extra, or a point of sale category. So you might not want everything in those very generic categories be going into the same general ledger code. You can still change it on an item by item basis. You just don't have to. But for example, this one doesn't even have a category. So I always suggest going into POS items, sort by your category heading, and anything that's blank, you either go into it and add the financial accounts or assign it a category, one or the other. But if you try to do an end of day and it's not linked to anything, it will give you an error message. So just make sure that that's all linked up too. The nice thing is it will not let you plow through the end of day without fixing it though. So you'll know what the problem is. It'll tell you what's wrong if you do have to fix it. So that was the item categories. Now we're going to go into property. So in the property, it's under the fees tab. This one's the one I forget all the time because it's kind of hidden there. But the fees are the fees that the $350 that you're passing on to the customer, perhaps processing fees if you're doing that, and then of course the 10% and $350 for RV Park Year Reserve America. These all need to be into their own financial accounts as well. You can lump them together if you want, or you can separate them. It's totally up to you. I usually suggest at the very least having a separate GL code for reservation fees, because technically you're collecting that on our behalf and then passing it on to us, right? So if you separate it out, it won't just be lumped into your income, which I think is a little bit better when you're trying to sort stuff out. So again, it's the circle with the 3 dots, it's edit, and then you'll see the financial account right here. See, I didn't even take my own advice. I just put it into RV Daily. I'm going to put it in here for now. And then the same thing, you have to do it on each one. So we would do this one. This one I didn't even do. And again, like if you don't link it up and you do sell that item, it will tell you what to fix, but might as well beat it to the punch, right? It's easier. Oh, I do have processing fees. There we go. So I put that one in there. So just make sure that it was all linked. Then the next section would be our taxes. This one's nice and easy. You just go into your tax, make sure it's linked to an account. If you have multiple taxes and you want each tax to go into a separate account, just make sure you have the taxes separated and you link them accordingly. If you do have, say, 2 different taxes set up and you want them going into the same GL code, that's also okay. That's no problem. Just be aware that you have both options. So whichever way you want to do it is great. Then our units, we're almost at the end of all the linkages. So we'll have to go through our units. That's all of our basically income, right? Our RV, our cabins, all the income there. You can go into your unit here. And if you scroll down on the general tab, you'll see that there is a financial account here. Now, the only thing is that if you're on the general tab, the financial account that you link here is for all income from that site: daily, weekly, monthly, guest fees, pet fees, vehicle fees. At this point, we cannot separate guest, vehicle, and pet fees unless you're doing it as an add-on. So that will all go into RV income. If you don't care about breaking it down into daily, weekly, monthly, then all you need to do is assign it here. You can break it down to different site types as well. So if you wanted your full hookup 30 amps to be in one GL, your electric and waters to be in another, your cabins to be in another, that's also okay. But you only have to assign it on this part of that site. If you go into options and import export unit info, you'll see that financial account is an option that you can export. So you could choose all sites in that specific class. I didn't classify my sites properly in my demo, but you could select all units in the class and you could just transfer over the financial account. So you don't have to go into each unit and link it up. Now, if you do want to separate your revenue into daily, weekly, monthly on your general ledger, then we have to go here into rates. When we go into rates, you'll see here's our daily rates, I don't have weekly, our monthly rates here. So you just make sure that you go into the rates, you click edit with the circle and the 3 dots, and you assign the financial account here. So you'd have to go into each rate to do that. So if you have a whole bunch of holiday rates, make sure that you're doing it for every single one. Otherwise, it won't know what to do. See? There we go. Got to fix mine up. So there we go. Monthly, you would do the same thing. You can go in here, click edit, and you would link it to monthly. If you do seasonal or annual camping, you could do the same thing here. So no problem. And you can see with our special rates, the dog days for me is actually a rate qualifier or a customer class. So if you do have customer classes that you want to delineate into different GL codes, no problem. Just make sure you've created the rate qualifier, you've created the rate, and then when you actually go to set it all up, that you put that into the appropriate financial account. So you can still break it out by rate qualifier. It's no problem. The taxes will already be set. Don't have to worry about that because we set it up under settings and taxes already. The only other thing you need to look for on the units would be your lock fee. So the lock fee also has to be linked to a financial account. So just make sure you do the circle with the 3 dots. It's show advanced lock fee options to open it up, and then you'll link it. I'm going to change it to miscellaneous for myself. You're going to link it into the financial code that you want it to go into. Again, this will only be on this specific unit. So you want to do your import-export unit info to units that are the same, right? So all the like units, you can copy the rates over and you can copy the lock fee over if you had to link that up. But just make sure that you apply it to all the sites because doing it to just one isn't going to fix it for everyone, right? And the last part is our utilities. So whatever utilities you have, whether it's electric, water, sewer, anything like that, you're going to go into the meter and you'll see the financial account right here to link as well. So it's all linked up there. So that's how you link everything up. I'm going to go over the end of day and then we'll pause for questions, and then we'll do some reports. So over here under accounting, this is where you have access to the end of day. Now in your user settings, just so that everyone's aware, let me just open myself up here. If you have access to accounting settings, that's this section here where you can set up the GL codes, make changes to the method, and this gives you access to linking those codes to each item. If you have accounting procedures, that gives you access to this, which is allowing the person to do the end of day update. So if you have clerks that you're like, you don't want them messing with the settings, no problem, uncheck accounting settings, but leave accounting procedures if you want them to be able to process the end of day. So we're going to go to the end of day, and you'll see it's actually very similar to Astra. The one big difference is we have a cutoff date and a time now as well. You can, I mean, normally I would recommend still backdating, right? So if you closed out last night at 5 at the office, but you know people will make reservations all night online or pay off their bills or whatever, I would probably do the 26th. And you would want to change this to 11:59 p.m. to cut it off at midnight. And then we're going to hit apply. When we hit generate, that's going to show all the payments. So you can see this is all the credit debit payments. I've taken no cash. It's all the debit credit payments. If you did take cash or check, you would see the breakdown for each one. And if you did take a cash payments, sorry, you do have to physically type in the actual amount of cash in your drawer. And that's where the difference between the 1-step and the 2-step come in. So if you did take cash, this will not light up. The post batch button will not light up if you don't enter the actual amount. And I mean, honestly, you could just copy the expected amount, but I'm assuming if you have it on this way, you definitely want your clerks to reconcile each little payment type. So just make sure that that's filled out. Through the credit card, you'll see we have lots of info here if you do have to check on anything. We have the transaction ID that references the processor. So this will match your end of day on Basis, BridgePay, or Stripe. So you'll be able to see that. And then of course the credit card number and the payment total. So that's all there too. Once everything looks good here, and you can check the summary if you want. Oh, actually, this is one really cool thing about the Firefly end of day is I know in Astra, if you forgot to backdate, it would lump the days together and then it'd be like, gotta call support, you get that deleted. In Firefly, it doesn't lump the days together. So if you forget to do an end of day update, or maybe you're away for a weekend and you just don't want to have to go back and do every day one at a time, it will break it out automatically day by day for you. So that's why there's actually there's 2 different cash entries and 2 different deposit entries. So that's much easier. You don't need to call us to undo it anymore. So we're going to post our batch, and that's going to submit the journal entries for the payment reconciliation. And same as Astra, we're going to click on transactions, which is the same as the revenue recognition. We're going to change our date and time again. Go. We're going to apply and we're going to generate. And this is going to pull in the revenue side of your journal entries. So you can see it breaks it out from reservation revenue, POS revenue. This would be your inventory asset. So if you updated your on-hand counts and you do have a cost of item entered, it would update here. Or if you sold something and you had the cost, it would update. Any reservation credit adjustments that you make, and then of course your summary at the end. So you can see it's breaking it down for the 16th, 18th, 25th, and 26th for me. So same thing, you don't have to do it every day and it will totally be fine. If any of these headings are in red, you'll notice if it's red here, then you cannot post the batch. It won't let you. And if it's red here at the top, that means you have a problem. There's an issue with the transaction. It's not a big deal. We can very easily fix it. But when you scroll down, you'll see a red bar across here telling you what the issue is. You can click on the transaction here, and that will really just take you to the reservation or the transaction that's the issue. And then you would just fix the issue. 2 issues that you're going to see, you'll see a notice that says cannot update amount for $0 charge or something like that. That will not be an issue that you see all the time if you're doing it every single day. But if you haven't done an end of day and you've been using Firefly for a bit and doing cancellations and therefore making charges 0, you'll have to go back, put a price on the charge, do an update, and then 0 it out. And if you do have those issues, we're happy to help show you how to do that. But if you get that issue, don't panic. It's only because you haven't done an end of day from the time you took the payment and refunded the payment. So it just gets confused. The other thing that you might see is it'll say cannot post for overpaid charge. So if you have a charge that is overpaid, you have to fix it first, either by refunding the overpaid amount, by putting the overpaid amount into a reservation credit, or editing the charge to reflect the total amount paid. And again, it's a case-by-case basis on what the best way to do it is, because the question is, why is it overpaid? 9 times out of 10, it's because somebody applied a coupon after they paid in full, and then that difference of the coupon was never refunded or nothing was done with it. So that's usually when you'll find that issue. But once everything's clear and there's no red, we can hit post batch, and that'll post our batch for us. So that's it. The end of day is all done. The posting batches here on the left allows you to see the history of everything that's been posted. And just like Astra, you can actually click on the transaction side. You can see every GL code that was hit. You can click on the GL code and see the transactions that made up that number. So you'll still be able to get all that detail. And if you need to reverse a batch, you probably don't really need to in Firefly, but if you ever do need to reverse it, it's right here. You don't have to call us. And then at the bottom, you do have the ability to do a debit or credit adjustment if you need to. So that's down there too. And then the last section is that little transfer batches. This is what's going to create the IIF file for QuickBooks. So you just check mark whatever it is that you want to transfer over. Right now, we only have the QuickBooks IIF as a format, and you'll hit generate. And that's going to download an IIF file for you. You'll be able to do an import into QuickBooks. If you're using QuickBooks Online, you will have to have an IIF importer add-on associated with your account. If you're using desktop, you're good to go. And it creates a file that looks like this. So you can open it in Notepad. If there are any adjustments that you have to make, you can actually make them in the Notepad file and then import it in. So that's what it looks like there. So I'm going to pause if there's any questions about the setup or the end of day procedure, and then afterwards we'll look at some reports.
Thanks, Adrian. We do have a couple coming in. So first question from Corby, transfer batches. We use Keystone. Will there be a format for Keystone?
So I think Keystone actually uses a CSV file, and you'll be able to export the journal entry summary report into a CSV, which I think might work as the import. We might have to delete 2 of the columns before you do the import, but I think that might work.
Perfect. And then a question from Angel, does a transfer batch need to be transferred daily?
Nope, you can do it as frequently or infrequently as you'd like.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions before we keep going? If I see the little icon for typing, we'll wait a second. If not, Adrian, I think you're good to keep going.
All right, cool. All right, so let's look at reports. So I'm going to go down here to the left under reports. Now your GL summary report is the same thing as your journal entries summary report. So if you're printing your GL every day, every week, every month, whatever, this is the same one that you're going to want to use. So you can do it for a day, you can do it for a date range. I'm just going to do it for this month just to make sure I have some data to look at in there. And I'll hit run. And you can see it shows the account number, the account name, your debit, credit, and your post amount. Your post amount is really what you want to be looking at because that's the amount that actually hit that GL. Please ignore the part up here. So you don't need to worry about this part here. Just look at the numbers at the bottom. You can print PDF, CSV, or Excel this file. So you can print it at any time or save it, whatever you want to do with it. If you want to look at just one specific GL code, you can select from your list which one you want to look at. So I think that's the one, if you're using the end of day, this is the one you're going to be using the most. And this is the one that will be broken down to the GLs that you've set up and the breakdown that you want. Just remember, if you don't see a GL on here, it's only because nothing hit it during that time frame. So it's just not going to show. So if you don't see it, don't panic. It just means nothing was earned for that income or revenue type. The journal entry here, this is just a list of everything that was debited or credited for the date range that you've chosen. So I'm just going to do the 26th because I would say normally, unless you're looking for something, there's no need to use this report because the data is just, it's a lot of data. So you can see it just hits, it's just every single entry. I didn't do a lot on the 26th, so it doesn't look too crazy, which is good. So let me do a couple, let me add a few more days just so I can kind of illustrate my point. There we go. So you can see like for the 16th, look at all these like ins and outs, right? And you can sort these reports by clicking on the column heading. So here's all my cash ins and outs. Here's all my deposits ins and outs, which will have the debit and credit for every entry. So that's a lot. And then you can just kind of scroll on to see the monthly processing fees, etc. So again, if you're looking for something specific, this is great. If you just want totals and not the detail, don't worry about this one. Again, if there is an issue and you're like, why is that, RV monthly income number so high? It shouldn't be that high. Well, at least you can go in here to see exactly what's happened. So you can see each one of the post amounts there. But normally that's a lot of detail. The payments report, this is what we're going to be using in lieu of our cash receipts by clerks report. And there's no real reconciliation report in the same way that there was in Astra, like that detail. This will have everything. So we don't need to have the detail reconciliation and the cash receipts because this has everything combined. So for your payments report, let's just do this month. If we run that, that's going to show your totals and your total by payment type. Also your total with and without processing fees. So you can see the total including processing fees and the total without processing fees. If you don't use processing fees, these will be this, like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to worry about it. These two will be the same number. So you can see here's all the payments that we've done. What I, again, like about this is you can click on the column heading to sort. Do by date. You can also search over here, which is super handy. So if you're trying to find a certain payment or a certain person, like say I know there was $50 and I'm out $50 and I just want to see what I have recorded. If you type in like $50 here, here are the $50 payments that have come in during the time frame I've entered. So it's really easy to narrow down and search for things here. If you're wanting to do a cash receipts by clerk, because we don't have the option to sort it out up here at this point, what you could do is if you come in here and you have the clerk type in their username, this would just show all of the payments they've done and they can print PDF, Excel, that data that way. So you can kind of still get that cash receipts by clerks breakdown if you want it. You can also look for specific payment methods in here. And payment status, normally we want to look at paid. If you're trying to match up your journal entry summary report with the payments report based on what's collected, you only want to look at paid status payments. Failed payments will still be in the payments list so that you know it failed, but they will not be on the GL because it didn't go through. So if your numbers don't match, because your payments report should be matching the cash, the credit card, however you have it broken down in your journal entries, those numbers should match. If they don't match, 9 times out of 10, it's because this payment status wasn't changed. So just make sure if you're wanting to match those numbers, you have the status unpaid. Otherwise, you're going to be off, and that's never fun to find. We do have the charge payments report. This is something that was actually asked for a lot in Astra, but we couldn't do it the way Astra was programmed. So this actually tells you what specific charges were paid for and how they were paid for. So I know some people want to know, okay, like how much cash went to what kind of thing. You can look at this report for that. It doesn't subtotal anything for you, but again, you could export it if that was something you really needed. You could export that into Excel, and you can see, this credit card payment was for a full hookup 30 amp site. So that's kind of a nice thing too. The other thing I really like about the payments and the charge payments report is you can actually click on the entry and go right to that account. So if you're looking at something and you're like, what the heck happened here? Just click on it and then you can go take a look and see, what's gone right or wrong on that report there. We're going to go back. We're going to talk about reservation credits. So the reservation credits are kind of like the fund account in Astra. So let me go to somebody here who we can make it up. We can put something on here. Let's do Nelska here. All right, so I'm going to, don't pretend I'm not doing this. I'm just going to add a reservation credit to her account. So let's say we're going to give her $500. Anybody who has money in their fund account in Astra, it will come over into Firefly, and you'll be able to see reservation credit available, $500 there. There are 2 different places where you'll see a reservation credit in Firefly. One is on the reservation itself, just like we see here. And the other place is on the guest tab, and you might see that they have a credit here. So if they do have a credit here, you'll see there's a button that says transfer. This will actually say transfer guest credit to reservation. So let me take it off of here. So the way Firefly works is that this reservation credit, because it's under this lookup code, this reservation, right now I can only use it on this reservation. So if I wanted to use that $500 to pay off her, I guess October really, rent, I could do add payment here. I could type in $500 because all she has is a credit, and I can choose the reservation credit from there. So what that's going to do is that's going to move it from this reservation credit section and pay it off down here. And you can see it was paid with reservation credit. Now let me just refund that back. So if you do need to refund money to a reservation credit, also an option. We'll do that. Now let's say Nelska has another reservation. Maybe she canceled this one and she would really like to use the credit that she has available towards another reservation. Well, in order to do that, we actually have to transfer the reservation credit to her guest account. And that's when you'll see it right here. So that's why sometimes you'll see it under the guest account, and sometimes you'll see it under the reservation account. Now, if we went to Nelska's, I know she has more in here. Let's go to another one of her reservations. There we go. So let's say I wanted to move the credit from her guest account to pay off this reservation. You can see there's nothing here. I have to go to guest, and then I have to transfer it to the reservation. And now we'll be able to see it in the charges tab here. And now I'm able to use it towards this reservation. So you can see it's very intentional. We just have to make sure that you are transferring it appropriately. And I would say for your staff, unless you're giving somebody free money for any reason, you do not want them clicking on this and increasing and decreasing the reservation credit. If they're using this and doing the increase and decrease, that means they're just giving them money or just taking away money. It's not going anywhere. Yes, it's all recorded, so it's not like going into the oblivion. But we want to make sure that it has to come from somewhere. So I would say you only want them to use the reservation credit either as a payment or as a refund option. Try to discourage them from clicking here and making adjustments. In the history, though, you will see anything that's happened with it. So you can see it says reservation credit updated, blah, blah, blah. So there's a history of all of that. So that's a good thing. The reservation credit is also considered a payment method. So you will see it on your end of day report as a payment method. So no more hunting that down in the fund account and trying to figure out where it came from. It's all recorded. So you will see that movement all the time. If we go to our reports, then we'll see that there is a reservation credits report right here. So same as your open funds report. And it's exactly the same where it's only good, you can only run it as of now. So it'll show you everybody right now who has a reservation credit. You can see all of mine here. They're all on the actual reservation. So I'm going to go to Bob's account just so you can see the difference. And let me move it to Bob's guest account there. So we'll transfer that back over. All right, so let me rerun this. So now you can see that under Bob's name, it tells you, oh, okay, the credit's actually under the guest account. It's not associated with the reservation. So you can click on it here and it'll take you to wherever it is. So in this case, it's on the reservation. It takes me there. In this case, it's on the guest account. So it takes me here. So that's just the difference between the two spots for that. All right. A couple other reports that we probably want to look at. A lot of people liked at all the revenue by blah, blah, blah reports in Astra. So that will be your revenue summary report in Firefly. So we don't have it by code or by category because honestly, Firefly doesn't really have categories or codes in the same way Astra did. So we've made a revenue summary report that looks like this, and you can see the revenue source here. If you don't want to see certain things on the report, maybe you're like, I don't care about reservation fees. You can uncheck it so it's not showing. You'll see the totals here at the top, and then the breakdown based on the description here at the bottom. So it will show you like, okay, here's all your late fees. Here's all your cancellation fees. So you can get all that information there as well. This will also be on your general ledger summary if you want it broken out. But the nice thing is, especially for the POS, if you're looking for, I would say a little bit more specific of a breakdown on the POS, because you're not going to set every single POS item you have to its own GL code. That's crazy. That's too much stuff. But this way you can see exactly what you've earned based on the actual item. So that's great for that too. All right, that was, so we also have our occupancy summary. I know a lot of people like to run the occupancy reports in Astra. This is the one that we have for Firefly. Go, let's do this month. And it defaults to all, so you can see like all your classes, all your units. But if you want to look for a specific class type, maybe you only care about 30 amp. You can run just 30 amp and get the details there. So that's what our summary will do as well. The rent roll, if you're using the rent roll in Astra, that'll be akin to your reservations reports down here. And this is just a report of all the reservations in the system for the date range you've selected. Just be aware of the search by date that you're using. So you can either search by a created date, which is more, that's what Astra would do. That's what the rent roll in Astra does. It's based on the creation date. Actually, no, it's based on the stay date, sorry. Any part of stay range is the one that Astra would do for the rent roll. The created date would be a sales report if you were looking at, one of those sales reports to see what reservations you've made or sold. So just be aware of the difference between these. So the created would be the reservation was made during the time you've entered. The arrival, obviously arrival or departing between the time you entered, and any part of stay range would be any reservations that fall within the time that you've entered. Whether they start before or end after doesn't matter, as long as they have dates that appear within this date range, they'll be on that reservations report. So I think that'll be the most similar that you're going to get to the rent roll. For your accounts receivables report, there are two different options. We have overdue charges, which is going to show you anybody who's past due, which I know that's how most people use the accounts receivables. You just want to see past due. You didn't care about future people. So this is anybody, oh, don't judge me. My demo park is pretty bad. But this is all of the people who are past due. And in Firefly, you can mark it as uncollectible. So it won't do anything accounting wise if you do. But let's say I just know there's no way Bob's ever going to pay this. I can come into here, I can set it as uncollectible. It's not going to affect the accounting, but it will show it as uncollectible, which means it will not email him about it. And then he also won't appear on the overdue list because he will appear on the overdue list, but he won't be emailed or appear on the dashboard as overdue because you know you're never going to collect it. You'll still see it on the report, but not on the dashboard. So then at least you don't have your dashboard like muddied up with people who you know you're never going to get their money from. But that would be our accounts receivable. The other one is the unpaid charges, and this just tells you who hasn't paid. It doesn't matter if their reservation is past, present, or future. So this would also be an accounts receivable report, just in a different way. So this one will include future people, whereas unpaid will not. Overdue, sorry, will not. So unpaid is everyone who hasn't paid. Overdue is only people who are past due. So just depending on what kind of information you need, you have both options there. And one thing they've added recently that I just wanted to share because I'm excited that they added it, on the arrivals report here, we've added the balance due. So you can see, let me just do, I think this is probably going to be scary too, but if you run your arrivals report now, you'll also see a balance due column. So you'll know if anybody owes you money upon arrival. But those are the main reports that I would suggest taking a look at and using. But of course, if anyone has any questions, we have time.
We do. And if you want, you can throw your questions in the chat, or if you're wanting to ask a question out loud, go ahead and click that raise your hand button and I will unmute you, or I'll like give you the option to unmute and then you can unmute yourself as we go. I feel like I remember last time we did this talk, Adrian, too. It was so thorough that there were not a ton of questions either.
I've been asked all the questions.
All right, let me go ahead. I will share my screen and then, yeah, if questions come up as I'm talking, we'll jump back into questions. So what's next? We have just finished our whole week 2 of Smore success. You guys have heard it by now, but let's set a go live date. If you're moving forward with Firefly, I think everyone on here, I've been sending you guys emails looking at your accounts. I think you all are moving forward, which is awesome. Our next steps are to set a go live date and then finish getting Firefly set up so you can go live. So if you don't have that yet, connect with your migration manager. The best ways to do that, either you can respond to the emails that I send, or you already have your migration manager's contact information. You can just send them an email, and then we can get that set, get that going. The last week in November, which is our shut off date, is mostly full for all of the managers. So we do need to pick dates that are before then. So look at your calendars. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, let's get it done before Thanksgiving and you can have the holiday. You don't have to think about the change. We can get all your training done before then too, and it will be great. That is something else that you can do if you are in Firefly, you're all set up, but you need more people on your team trained on how to actually use Firefly day to day. Your migration manager is also the person for that. And so we can get that scheduled. You can have your whole team. Sorry if you can hear a car. You can have your whole team hop on those trainings and we can get that done. And then this afternoon, I'm going to send out a feedback survey. We'd love to know what you thought of this week and then any other comments or requests for future trainings that you have. We would love to host more of these if they're beneficial for you. So that is that. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And
sorry, I think Deborah asked about the tax summary report.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I didn't get a little pop-up bubble. So what about tax summary reports?
Yeah, so actually I'm just gonna share my screen again just so everyone can see it. I would actually suggest using the GL summary for your tax summary instead. We do have a taxes collected report, but the thing is the charge has to be paid in full for it to be recognized on the taxes collected report. So the downside to that is if they only paid in half, you still owe the tax on that half that they paid. So it won't be accurate on this one unless you're doing it for the past, unless they've actually paid for everything in full. So I would actually just use your journal entry summary report because you can break down the taxes on there. And I think that would be more accurate based on when the tax is actually earned. So, sorry.
Perfect. No, and I'm so sorry, Deborah, I missed your question. Normally I get a little like pop up and it didn't pop up. So, okay, if there are any other questions, you guys know how to get a hold of us. We'd love to hear from you. So, thank you guys so much. And we hope that you have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks.